Good guy. No. No, I'm kind of giving up on that. There's no way you can. What? I've had a beard for 7 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Not that good though.
It's been longer than that. I've had a beard. This is not like
Have a good week.
This is not
Pretty good.
Well,
Halfway through, you know? All downhill from here.
Sorry. Sorry, we've been talking.
you don't know how to feel. What? Let's go, guys. Let's go.
And then Minecraft sends from the heaven or not. And there's not. Yeah, I have to add those ones. That was great. Yes.
Ready to roll? We're already on the Yes, sir. You have anything at all?
I have.
Alright guys, hey, let's go and get started. Thank you guys for being here. I know we're a little light tonight. Maybe we'll have some join us as we get started, but we're glad you're here. We're glad that you feel Encounter is important. We believe it is because we want you to encounter God. What's up, fellas? Come on in. We're just getting started. All right, we got a few announcements I want to go through. The big one, fall retreat forms. Let's get those in ASAP. All right. We're kind of at the ending stage of playing stuff. I'm getting T-shirts ordered. I'm getting stuff ordered, so I need those in as soon as you can. Most of you guys have yours turned in, so thank you for that. We're going to have a good time with fall retreat. It's going to be a lot of fun. I will be sending you an email with all the details, the packing list, all that. So be looking for that as we get close to the week of fall retreat. Hey, if you want to go and haven't signed up, it's still not too late, okay? So, or if you have a friend that's wanting to go, you can still get that to them and get that filled out. So get those and get those rolling. Fall retreat, November 8th through 10th. Forms are due ASAP. It's $75. Get that in. All right, let's go. Next, we have at the Hiders. Did I say it right this time, Adam? Perfect. All right, November 17th, 30 for 30. We're continuing on the Book of Acts. We'll figure out a game. I don't know what game you ever play. We'll play something, have some good food, and then have an awesome time 30 for 30 at the Hiders on November 17th. That's Sunday. Hey, there's one announcement I don't have up here that I need your guys' help with. This Sunday, we're doing a pantry drive. If you don't know, here at our church, we have an outdoor pantry and an indoor pantry, and so we want to help give food to the needy. And we've kind of run low on items, and so we're doing a pantry drive this Sunday. First of all, if you and your family could bring food for that this Sunday, it'd be awesome. Second is we need some help organizing and putting that stuff where it goes. So Laura has asked me to get with you guys. Here's what we need. This Sunday, I'm not going to be here for class. Mark is teaching class, so Mark, remember to announce this again.
Yeah, Mike. Yeah, we did. I know that now.
I'll send you all the stuff.
Thanks.
Mark is teaching class. He forgot about that.
Yes.
What you're going to do after class, if y'all could go back over to the family lunch, as we call it now, and help put the food where it goes, and then you'll help transport it back here. The other thing I will need help with is these two white tables that we serve food on. We're going to put those outside of the pantry area, right downstairs, and we're going to help. You're going to help Sherry and Laura sort all that food, put it where it goes, all that good stuff. So we need help this Sunday with pantry food, and then after this Sunday, every single Sunday, while we go to class, we're gonna work on kind of bringing that food over. because we want to help them and make this process as good as possible. So when we come over for class, let's just try to grab a can or two, whatever's in. It's like a shopping cart looking thing that we have in there now, right? To put the food in. Yeah, we're just going to grab that and we're going to bring it over here. Not this Sunday. We're going to go after class and bring it. That makes this more confusing, or y'all got this? Y'all with me? All right, I'm trying to relay what she told me. I think that's what she told me. All right. Again, I'm going to be out. Mark's going to remind y'all this Sunday about that.
Reminder.
And now you've been reminded. All right, I think that's all we have. If you're on the YouVersion app, we're starting a new series tonight. The series is called Now and Later. And so if your small group wants to be a part of this, you simply start a group on there, you search your reading plans on the YouVersion app, and you can start this with your small group. All right? Challenge yourself, challenge the people in your small group to read along with us. And I think it's going to be something that's going to help you guys. So hope you will utilize that. And we're back. And I think that's something that can be beneficial to you, okay? All right. Hey, I'm going to say a quick prayer to you guys. We're going to go into our time of worship again. Thanks for being here. Pumped about our time together. And I'm really excited about this new series that we're starting tonight. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for our time together. We thank you for Encounter and what it truly means to encounter you, God. We know that you love us. We know that we're here for a reason, God. And I just pray in this moment that we clear our minds of schoolwork. We clear our minds of stuff going on in our home. And we simply focus on you tonight. And we focus on the fact that we are loved and that we have your support and you are for us. God, we thank you for these times of our small groups to benefit from the wisdom of our guides. And we just thank you for them and the time they have just poured into our students here. God, you have blessed us in so many ways. Help us to remember these blessings and to thank you for them each and every day. In your Son's name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Praise I worship you.
now and later. I think this is going to be a real cool series. We're going to be here for 5 weeks. We're going to get into all that. But I want to start off with a story of bad decisions made by me. And it's one of those things where I've made so many of these, especially as a teenager, that I couldn't even figure out which story to pick. But I'm going to start with this one. When I was, let's say, 7th grade, so when I was these guys' age down here, one of my ideas is that I wanted to start working out. Okay, but my dad, he was big on this idea that lifting weights like stunted bone growth, and maybe that's true. I don't know, but he was like not gonna let me buy any type of weights till I got older. And so finally, I'm in middle school, and I'm like, Dad, like it's time. Like let's get some weights in the house. Let's pump some iron. Let's get rolling with this. And so he finally he goes to the store and he finds these dumbbells. He probably bought them used, I'm sure. But he gets these dumbbells, he brings them back to the house, and he gives it to me. He says, hey, I got you some dumbbells, but I don't have like a workout bench yet. And so one thing he told me is like, you need to be careful with these because like, you got to have the right posture, you got to work out right, or you're going to really hurt yourself. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And so I'm like, I always was already like doing push-ups and stuff. I could do that, but I needed these dumbbells. And so I'm in my room and I'm doing my push-ups and I finally get these dumbbells and I'm like, pumping the iron. But then I was like, man, I really need to work my shoulders. And I didn't know anything about working out, but I knew like to work out shoulders, you had to push over your head, right? But I didn't have a workout bench. He hadn't bought that yet. And so I'm in my bedroom and so I'm in my bed. I was like, this is good as a workbench, right? Like we can work out on this. And so I'm sitting on my bed and I'm doing these overhead, this is what we call military press for you guys, okay? And we're doing with these dumbbells. And I don't know, like when you sit in your bed, it kills your posture, okay? Because you sink in, all of a sudden your back makes like a U shape, all right? And so that is not what you want when you're working out. You don't want that U shape, all right? And so I'm working out with these dumbbells, and my back's like this, and I'm doing this, and all of a sudden I hear something go pop, all right? Like something did not go right. I heard a noise it wasn't supposed to make, and literally, as soon as this happens, my neck stiffens up, okay? And it doesn't stiffen up straight. It stiffens up like this, all right? So my neck is like this, and it stiffens. I pulled something in my neck, and I was stuck, y'all. I was stuck like this. And not just stuck right then. I was stuck for like 2.5 weeks. So like I was like this, and this actually happened a while, like not last time, it was number 4. I had this little injury while I was sleeping weird enough, and I had it again. But I hadn't had it since I was 7th grade. 7th grade this happened, and I'm like literally in school, and people say, hey Preston, I learned to do this. Hey, what's up? Like this. And so I was stuck like that for 2 weeks, y'all, and it was horrible. And it all goes back to my decision to do what I was supposed to do, and that's to work out on my bed, okay, and not wait for the bench press. So yeah, like it's a terrible decision. But the thing about that decision is like, it's not like I was doing anything bad. Like working out on my bed, it's not that I wasn't doing anything bad. Now, was it dumb? Absolutely, it was dumb, and I paid for it. But it wasn't bad. It wasn't morally wrong. All right. And what we find ourselves in life are these moments where, like, there's no right or wrong. But sometimes we just do dumb stuff, okay? And I found myself, especially when I was in middle school, finding stuff that wasn't morally wrong, it was just really dumb, okay? And we find ourselves in these moments, the stuff that it doesn't fall in right or wrong. The answer just isn't so simple. Like we know murder is clearly wrong, we know stealing, cheating are clearly wrong things, but there's some things that fall in the middle. We don't know if they're right or wrong. They're kind of gray area, right? They're not black or white, they're just gray area. And so we have these questions in life, and there's so many scenarios we can think of where they're just aren't so simple. They're just not so simple to figure out, hey, is this right or is this right? What's the right thing to do in this situation? I'm going to give you scenarios. All right, here's one, and you're going to think it's wrong with that. What about lying? I was saying, well, that's wrong. Obviously, lying is wrong. I'm with you. Lying is technically wrong. But what about under certain circumstances? What if you get that best friend and she wears a really ridiculous looking outfit and she comes and says, hey, how do I look today? And you're like, oh man, she's my best friend. If I say the truth, this isn't going well. And so we might slip a little white lie, right? And so is that wrong or right? I'm not answering these right now. I'm just saying. There's some of these that we just don't know the right answer to. What about moments about disobeying your parents? And we're like, well, that's clearly wrong, Preston. I'm with you. But what about the moments where you think you're in the right? You're like, well, I'm in the right here, and they're the ones in the wrong. Like, this is something, and you find yourself in this gray area of, is disobeying my parents the right or wrong thing? And there's some moments like that we fall in these traps of we don't know what to do. We don't know if it's yes or if it's no, what's black, what's white, or if it's in this middle gray area. And there's this thing we always ask in church, hey, how far is too far? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm not really going to go into depth here, but there's this question we don't talk about in church, right? And there's this gray area that we just don't speak about. And so we have these questions of like what's right and what's wrong. And a lot of you have these questions, what's right and what's wrong, and you don't always know the answer to that. And what we can't do is, I would love to sit here and go through every single scenario, but there's no way we'll hit them all. And so what has to happen is we have to be able to use what we call wisdom to figure these things out. We have to use wisdom to figure out, hey, how do I decide what's right and wrong if I don't always have the answer? If the answer isn't so simple, how do I make a decision? And how do I make a decision that's going to make my life and my future the best? How do you make decisions when the answer isn't obvious? And here's why decision making is such a big deal, is because it's not like it's just something that's going to affect you for a little bit, but it's stuff that affects you later. What you do now will affect you later, right? Man, I was talking with Luke about this 2 Sundays ago, and I was talking about how when I was your age, one of the things I just wouldn't do was go to the dentist. Like my mom would say, hey, you have a dentist appointment, and I was like, not going. I just wouldn't show up. And I was like, look, like that, as a teenager, doesn't seem like that morally wrong. But you know what happens? You become a 24-year-old, you go to the dentist, they're like, hey, you have this cavity, and you need a root canal and all this. And all of a sudden, like thousands of dollars later, you're like, man, I was one stupid teenager. And some of you like don't get that. I didn't get that. But there's things you're doing now that are just dumb, and it's not a big deal to you now. But the later, you're like, man, I wish I would have been smarter, right? And so what this class is going to be all of the next 5 weeks is you gaining wisdom to help you miss out on pains later in your life. But it's not always about later in life. Some of the stuff we're going to talk about is stuff that affects you right now. My bad decision to work on the bed, that wasn't a 5 years later. That was a, hey, for the next 2.5 weeks, you're going to pay for that. And some of the things you're doing right now are affecting not only your now, but they're affecting your later. It doesn't take a day to always feel the effects of a bad decision. A lot of our decisions now affect our now and our later. And so the question becomes, what do we do about this? How do we fix this? How do we gain wisdom now, right? How do we make decisions that will be the best outcomes now and later? How do we avoid mistakes that can mess up our future? All these questions all comes to the one word, I've already mentioned it, and that word is wisdom. That word is wisdom. So what is wisdom? We can come up with all kinds of definitions, but in this class, what I want you to think of wisdom is wisdom provides clarity in unclear situations. Wisdom provides clarity in... sorry. For those of you who are sleeping, now you're awake. Wisdom provides clarity in unclear situations, and that's exactly what we need, because there's these situations in life where they don't look right, it doesn't look wrong, and this is where wisdom comes into play, right? And so where do we go to find wisdom? Right? A lot of you already know I love this book. The book of Proverbs, right? Proverbs written by a guy named Solomon, King Solomon, known as one of the wisest people, if not the wisest person that's ever lived. And he wrote all this wisdom. Some scholars say he wrote this to his sons to give them wisdom. But we have this wisdom, and it's something that we can utilize. And we're going to be going through this book almost every single week to gain wisdom from a guy that lived, yes, thousands of years ago, but was one of the wisest person ever lived. And if we can follow this book, it will help us miss out on future mistakes that we could have. We did a full retreat on this. We called it Life Hacks because that's exactly what these little bits of wisdom do. They help you in your life. They're life hacks for us. And then we're going to start off with in Proverbs chapter 3. And it's one of the greatest life hacks ever because it changes our focus on focusing on us and helps us to lean on something a little greater. Check this out. Proverbs chapter 3, start in verse 5. And every bit of this is so crucial. We're going to break this down, but let me read it for you first. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your path straight. So let's break this down. First part says, trust God, right? Trust God. And what I want you to realize, if you don't already realize it, is God is trustworthy. He is someone you can put your faith in. He's someone you can put your plans in, and He will lead you where you need to go. Check that where I said need. It's not always where you want to go. It's not always where your heart wants to desire, but He will take you where you need to go, where you should go. Trust God because He is trustworthy. But the second part is what hits of us. It says, don't trust your own understanding. Do not lean on your own understanding. Now, this one's a little bit counterculture. How many times have you been told, hey, trust your gut. Go with your gut. Has anybody ever heard that? Raise your hand if you've heard that phrase. Everybody's told that to you. Let me go ahead and tell you right now, it's not the greatest advice. I don't know about you, but my gut has led me to some places where I ain't supposed to be. Has led me to places where I shouldn't be. Because you know what my gut says? My gut says, hey, Preston, I think we can make that jump. Hey, Preston, I think we can take that truck through that creek bed. Hey, Preston, I think we can do this. Does y'all's gut tell y'all stuff to get you in trouble? Mine does. Mine absolutely does. Sometimes our gut isn't the best advice. Sometimes following our gut is actually the wrong thing to do. And this is what he's saying is like, hey, your emotions and your gut, your inner feeling, isn't always the best guide. You know why? Because you don't have that much experience. Because you haven't been in these situations before. When you find yourself in a situation where you don't know right or wrong, there's a reason you don't know right or wrong. You know why? Because you've never been in that situation before. Because of those people that have been in those situations, they either chose right or wrong, and they figured out later in life, hey, I took the wrong decision, or I made the right decision. There's experiences there, and that's why he says, hey, don't trust yourself, trust God. Because we don't have the experience. Let me kind of show you this in an illustration version to help you out. See, I've written on here this thing called life situations, all right? We find ourselves in life situations, all right? And so let's say you're in 7th grade, and you find yourself in your first, I'm not supposed to see the back for me. You find yourself in your first life situation where it's one of those moments where you don't know what to do. And so because this is your first one, you get one pin to represent this experience. That's your experience, okay? All right, not the raised experience. All right, let's say you're 12th graders in here. 12th graders, all right. All right, 12th graders, you've been in a few of these experiences. I'll give you 3. But not only have you been in a few of these, you've also seen some of your friends go through some of these scenarios. So you have a little bit more life experience. So I'm going to give you a few more pins, all right? Let's say you've been in the situation 3 times and you've maybe seen it 5 times. So we'll give you a total of 8 pins. Let me go in there. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right. So you got a little more life experience. Now, adults. Who's our oldest adult here? Tommy? I'm not going to ask how old you are, but Tommy, he's been around a little while, all right? He's been in these situations where he's had to figure out, man, it's gray. I don't know if it's right or wrong. And not only has he only been in these situations, he's seen other people go through them. As a preacher, I'm sure he's had to walk hand in hand with people trying to make some tough decisions. And so he's had some experience here, okay? And so he has his own understanding that he can go on and to understand that he's seen people go through, okay? Now, yours probably doesn't look like this. Even though Tommy's look like this, mine doesn't look like this, okay? But what it tells us is, hey, don't trust your own understanding, which may be 1 or 2 of these. It says trust God. Now, how long has God been around?
Yes.
Always, right? Yes, okay? And how many situations has God seen?
Everything.
Right. This is God's thing, okay? He's been around. He's seen some situations. He's had his own situations. He's seen every situation because he's up here watching us like it's a video game, all right? Like he knows what's going on. And so he's seen all these situations, and we say, man, I really like my perspective on this. I really think my choice of right or wrong is good. And we just totally forsake that God knows exactly what in the world we should probably be doing, right? And that's what this verse is telling us. It's like, man, you have someone up here that wants the best for you and leads you to where you go, but we tend to make mistakes because we choose our gut. We choose our emotions. We choose our own desires. And he says, hey, lean not on your own understanding, but trust God. So he continues on and gets some more good stuff here. Follow along in the verse. And the next thing he says is to, in all your ways, submit to him. In all your ways, submit to him. See, when I was growing up, I talked about this in my community thoughts a while back, but I always thought it was all about priorities, where you have God first, then your family, but I put everything in these little boxes. And what this verse says, in all your ways, submit to him. He says, hey, in every aspect of your life, I want to be a part of it. When it comes to your school life, I want to be a part of that. When it comes to you and your friends, I want to be a part of it. When it comes to your home life, I want to be a part of it. Youth group, obviously, I want to be a part of it. He wants to be, in all your ways, submit to him. So when it comes to things, decisions of school, hey, I want to be brought in on that. Hey, decisions when it comes to you and your family, your brothers, sisters, hey, I want to be brought in that decision. He says, in all your ways, submit to his understanding because his life situations are a little more than yours. His understanding is a little more than yours. And this isn't a diss to you saying, man, you're not that smart, you're only 7th grade. This is saying, hey, you're in 7th grade, but you can trust in something greater. You can miss out because you have a power that is plugged into you and can give you advice. And that leads to the next point. And it says, when you do submit to him, check out what happens. He will make your path straight. I'll let you understand what that means. Path straights are a lot easier to walk on than crooked ones, aren't they? Path straights are so much better. And he says, hey, let me help you out. Let me make your teenage life. Hey, teenage life's hard. I get it. I can talk to some of the guys, you tell me what you're going through, and I understand how hard of a teenage life you have. And some of you have it pretty rough. But why do we make it hard on ourselves sometimes? And the way we make it hard on ourselves is because of the decisions we make. And he says, hey, let me help you and let you miss out on some of that, and let me help make your paths straight. Or I love the way that NLT puts it this way. It says, and he will show you which path to take. Some of you in this middle of making big decisions, some of you are choosing colleges, some of you choosing majors, some of you are choosing things you want to do with your life, you're choosing boyfriends, girlfriends, and we don't know what to decide. All these big decisions, right? You know what he says? When you submit to me, I'm going to show you which one to take. I'm going to show you which is the right answer. When you find yourself in the middle of these things where I don't know which is right, which is wrong, where to go, I'm going to show it to you. Just submit to me and let me show you. Because his understanding is so much greater than ours. Trusting God is always the wisest thing you can do. And here's the major point tonight. Wisdom now can help you miss mistakes later. Wisdom now can help you miss mistakes later. And guys, I promise you this is real. Because what you do now, like we talked about in the last series, is building blocks to who you become and what you do later in life. And it's so big with your faith. And it's so big with who you are right now. A lot of you are like, man, I can change my life. I can be a whole new person. But who you are right now determines who you're going to be later. And the decisions you make right now, even some small ones you don't think are going to be that big, really make a difference in your life later on. That now creates later. Wisdom now can help your mistakes later. As we've seen, guys, life choices aren't always clear-cut. They're not always yes or no. They're not always black or white, right or wrong. But the answers we can find have to be found by the wisdom that we gain. And Solomon provides great points on how we find wisdom. Trust God. Seek out wisdom for every situation. Get Him involved in your situation. But how do we actually do that, right? How do we get started in gaining wisdom? And a great place to start is to look at the Bible. I know we say this a lot, but Proverbs, reading Proverbs. Man, I would challenge you guys to read the book of Proverbs. It would be, and it's really actually interesting to read. Read the book of Proverbs, gain from that wisdom. If you need another area of study, we're obviously doing a study with this on YouVersion. Read through that. Read through one of the Gospels. Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. Read one of the Gospels and be invested in the life of Christ. And outside of reading your Bible, get help through your small group. God can work through your small group. If you have something going on, I hope you're at the point where you can share some of these big questions with your small group. Say, hey guys, here's the decision I have. I need help making this. And bring them in on that. And hopefully you found some ways to do that. And if not your small group leader or another adult you trust who has a little bit more life situations than you have and has a little bit more wisdom in these areas, bring those people in. And say, hey, I trust you a lot. And this is what I'm going through. And trust them with their advice and listen to their advice. These are important things that we can do to have wisdom and gain wisdom. Sometimes gaining wisdom is seeking it. You got to seek wisdom to gain it. And I pray that we'll do this. As we head out, I know when you go to small groups, I ask two questions. Ask yourself two questions. Number one, what would it look like if I did this? What would happen if I did this? If I trusted God and I brought Him in on things, how would that change my life? Would that enhance my life? Would that enhance the things that I make? What would my future look like if I made tons of wise decisions and I sought out wisdom? And on the flip side, what happens if I don't? What happens if you live your life and you don't seek out wisdom, you have zero care for your future? What's going to happen if you don't? What are you going to miss out on? And what are you going to have to go through because you decided not to take the path of wisdom and to lean on your own understanding, not God's? And hopefully through that, you will understand, hey, I have a higher power I can call on that's going to guide me through this. And I pray that you will seek that out. All right, let's go to small groups. I'm going to pray out. Curse that real quick. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for our time together. God, we thank you for your wisdom that you grant us. Thank you for being there for us and for guiding our paths. God, I pray that every person here, that they seek you and seek your wisdom in these situations, that you will make their path straight. God, we know how hard it is to be a teenager. And we know the decisions that come up and the tough calls that we have to make. And I just pray that we don't always just go with our gut feeling, that we go with what you guide us to. And God, give us your wisdom, give us your guidance in everything that we do. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.